Right, first time my van has come out of this workshop looking like this. So yeah, pretty much a month ago now. So let's back it out. Hopefully it'll clear on the top without all the weight in it now. I had to charge the battery because the battery started to go a bit flat. So yeah, let's see how we get on. Oh yeah. Okay, we're clear?
Looks good to me. Keep going slow. Right, just, oh, yep, on your right, the light. Right, okay, so slow, slow. Oh god, that's close. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Right, wait there 1 minute.
Oh, that's tight.
That's what she said. And the beast is out. Chillax.
Whew. That was touch and go. Just how much shorter is Mandy's van over my van? Right, bit more, bit more, bit more, bit more, stop. Right, so all looks the same at the front, and then yeah, that's a whole metre shorter. And I just thought I'd introduce you all to Mandy's van, and Mandy has her own channel now. So if you are into van builds as much as you seem to be by watching my stuff, then you need to watch Mandy's channel, which is
Unadventurous Mandy.
She's got a video that'll explain all about that.
It is a play on words.
It is, isn't it? Just a bit cheeky and that. But yeah, she's got the holy grail, the unicorn of all vans.
Apart from your sore head.
Well, yeah. So it's a 2014 Fiat Ducato L1 H2 with, as you've probably worked out, twin slidey doors, but they're the low height slidey doors, so we both keep smacking. Well, actually, I keep smacking my head because someone's so short, it's not a problem.
I'm just used to it in Bumble. Bumble had the short doors because he had the fiberglass roof. So I'm so used. You just take a really big step in, and when you take a big step, you automatically go lower, and it works. It's just it's head proof.
Oh, I jumped in the other day because we've been swapping places in the unit because the weather's getting cold and everything now. So if I can work inside and have my diesel heater on, then I'll do that. And then Mandy's in here because there's no electrics or heater in here yet. So we've been swapping around, and inside the unit it's the same step, so your mind just tells you, oh, like you're stepping up. And I've smacked my head on that I nearly knocked myself out the other day. I could feel the vertebra in my back compress and crunch. Wasn't good.
I think I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got the van up on the ramps because I want to get underneath, because when I installed the diesel heater it was all obviously getting a bit agitated. There was swearing and all that going on, so perhaps didn't do as much as possible to make sure that the boom 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 didn't reverberate around the van. And guess what, last night we had 3 degrees or something outside, so we had it on as long as we could, and then obviously just twitched it off for a kip. So I've ramped it up now because obviously inside I haven't got the height to get it up on the ramps. So I've ramped it up now, been underneath, adjusted it. We're going to have to see that one goes. There's about 2 places I found where it's almost silent, but for my liking it's too close to the exhaust which runs under that side. So yeah, see how it goes anyway. So while I was inside listening for the boom 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 boom, which is better, but it's during the daytime now, there's ambient noise and everything, so at night time we'll see how much it bothers me again. But yeah, put the Maxxfan on to see if I could suck out, you know, all the hot air and keep it going. And that's when I found out one of my Maxxfans has just stopped working. So I had a chat with them. Technical support was great. They said pull it apart and check the circuit board just to see if you've got power coming through. So I've had my voltmeter checking all the components on the board there. So if you do need to take this apart, take the handle off, take the fly screen off, and then take the 4 screws that you can see around off. That gives you access to the board. The board's held in with these 3 screws, and then from the board then you can just sort of fault find just to see where the power goes. So this is the board, and that is your inbound voltage. Now you got to remember on these that it's not normal sort of color coded wiring, so the black is actually positive and the white is negative. And then basically all I've done is go through the board and check. You can follow the circuit board there to see where the power comes in and out and goes across to things. And then the same over that way, you can see where things connect to and just measure the voltage. Like I say, you should have voltage on these rails here as it connects up to this board, and again at that end as well. But for whatever reason, something in there has gone pop, and now, yeah, it's dead. No power, nothing happens, no remote, no buttons pressed or anything like that. So I spoke to Leisure Vehicles Direct, and they've sent me a new board to replace the faulty board. Usual thing applies, make note of where everything goes, which cable, which ends, all that kind of stuff. And then when you reassemble it, make a note of the order of where all those cables are routed as well, because some of the cables, specifically this little fella here, for the motor, has to go underneath the PCB, as does this little cable here for the thermo sensor. That's going to go under and routed around as well. Just make sure that once you've reassembled that all the cables are free and nothing's actually trapped anywhere. The ribbon cable's in the right place, and the sensor cable is running back up to the sensor. And make sure as well that once you reassemble that the little sensor there, which is for the remote, is actually sitting correctly in the middle. So that little chap there, just make sure he's sitting correctly in the middle there, which he is now. And obviously then put all the screws in place, 3 screws, and reassemble. Once you've rebuilt the circuit and connected all the wires, don't worry too much about tucking them in just so far. Obviously the gearbox handle needs to come up through there, and then you can slot that back on with a screw in the middle. And then it's 1, 2, 3 and 4 screws just to put this control plate back on. And then we can start working out where to tuck the cables out of the way, using little tie wraps and things like that to make sure it's nice and neat so it goes back in the hole okay. And then obviously we've got the cable left over for our power. You obviously do get really good instructions how to disassemble and reassemble this as well. So it is a pretty good kit along with the board. But obviously, just for reference sake, the small connector goes towards the motor, and the large connector goes at the back there, and obviously that powers the fan, and then the smaller one powers the motor, which drives the tilt mechanism up on the fan. Right, so we've wired it back up, and obviously just to let you know, they are a little bit different, the Maxxfans. The white is negative and the black is positive. So just so you're aware of that, black coming from the fan is your positive, and white coming from the fan is your negative. So that's why that looks a bit weird, but that's just the way it is. And then there we go. Cool, job done. Well, kind of. I've now got to put the screen on, so put the little bug screen back on. And then actually I've got to screw it down on the roof. I've not done that yet. And then fit the max shade again, which I've taken off, and the surround and everything. So yeah, just a little bit of stuff done, but at least it's fixed again. Leisure Vehicle Services, you are very, very kind and super helpful. Finishing off from the diesel heater conversation outside, I'm now trying to put my ducting in, because this is a 5 kilowatt unit and it pushes air out, hot air, you know, to a decent amount in the room, but by the time you get over there the bed, it's just like a cool breeze. So the heat leaving there just kind of evaporates and gets absorbed into the air in the room. So I'm going to have a little vent on the front of there, one of these directional ones that you can close off as well. The reason why I'm putting these on there is so that I potentially can make my toilet room which will be around about there, into a hot box. So I'm only having 3 vents. That vent, the one in the toilet, and then one going into the garage as well. For me, it's important to have that. After 3 years of living in a van through all sorts of weather, you need to ventilate every single area of your van, especially the areas that have poor air circulation. For example, people box under the beds, and you really shouldn't do that. You should try and get as much open vents and open access as you can, so that you've got airflow. Alright, so that's my rough layout for now. Obviously, this section here, I'm going to have a seating box, which is going to come out to roughly that edge of the driver's seat and the height of the driver's seat as well, such that if I wanted it to, it can form somewhat of a average size, very narrow single bed at some point in the future if I choose to swivel the seat around. Can you hear that? The ticking noise? Go rewind, see if you can hear it. My controller's up there right now. I've still not done all the wiring yet. Mainly I don't want to put wires in conduits and everything exactly yet until I know the ducting system I'm using, but it appears to be that that's alright. My toilet's not going that way, by the way. My toilet's running this way. But I am now getting okay air out of that vent, okay air at that vent, and okay air at that vent. And when I say okay, you know, it's moving. I can feel hot air coming out of both, and there's not a cold breeze in the van anymore, which is good. So each outlet is giving hot air, plus, I'm just giving a light over, plus this pipe itself is obviously getting warm, so it's acting like a radiator as well, so it's radiating the heat around. The wires aren't getting hot, they're double shielded wires, so they should be fine. But yeah, I think that's what we're talking about roughly, something like that. Just needs tweaking over the next few days, and obviously that's got to be extended so it comes out of the box, and that should be literally sort of just blowing air this direction, then literally like a, what do they call it, an air blanket. So as you open the door, any cold air will be blown out and replaced with hot air. So there we go.